Hello, I am Lee Nelson B, musician for Lonely Ghost Records, and this is Tellin with Ellen. Here, we will go over recent Lonely Ghost releases, as well as those from affiliated artists, in a quest to get liner notes that you cannot get in a digital era. I hope you enjoy. Okay, but yeah, it's been busy, like in between work with the pandemic and at the hospital and just recording a whole project that I did not expect to record this year. Actually, I've had a couple of those, So
How do those things just you hear that you get these tracks in, you're like, I gotta do remixes and
well, I mean, some things are like predestined, I guess. Like the project that I did that when we first interviewed for the Great Pause, like I didn't expect to do an online festival for that for that
right,
release. Because
right, had to get all that stuff together. That is crazy how it just grows like that too.
then unexpectedly our records came out a week apart, if I remember correctly.
Yes, yes.
So yeah, that was pretty good. And I never done anything like that before. So and yeah,
Was that the last time we spoke? Was that like in May, right?
yeah, I think it was in May.
Yeah, man. So it's been like May, June, July, August, and October, like 5 months in. Yeah, man. It's been a while.
But yeah, it's just in between the remixes, I have another remix project coming out in December. Yet to be announced, and I have we're doing this. We have the Halloween split that was announced today as of recording this. So that I have two songs on, as Leave Nelson B. So, but not to
Man.
mention my singles project, which I put on hold because I already got two songs coming out like this week.
Well,
So
and another two remixes that's going to be on my thing that comes out in like 2 weeks. So
yeah, the Great Pause. So you're re-releasing Great Pause.
yeah, yes and no, yes and no.
Or like reinterpreting it, or like it's not the same record that came out,
It's definitely, yeah. Sorry.
but yeah, it's definitely not the same record. It's definitely more lush, more fully fleshed out. And I'm like, what inspired that to give this record more life?
Yeah, well, I mean, like, yeah, I didn't know, like when when it had come out, I was like, okay, cool. So I'm actually already writing for the next record and stuff. But so like a month or so after, well, no, let me go back. Let me go back. So when I was recording the Great Pause, I sent demos to as many friends as I could who I thought might, at least just want to give some advice or hear it or do something, right? And so one of them, his name is Jared Tyndall, is a guy who I've known since like middle school. Like we went to the same middle school. I think we went to the same high school, though. I think he probably went to the performing arts high school, but we probably had to been to the same high school for us to still remember each other. But because he was in a band and I like did a lot of chorus stuff, so we would see each other. And then when I went to college, he was actually at the same college, Florida State. So he and I did
Seminoles, right?
yeah, right, Florida
Yeah.
State, yeah, right. And so he and I did a couple shows together because he plays violin. And so I've always kept in contact with him, and I had sent him the demos. And so like a month after Great Pause comes out, he's like, oh, hey, man, I finally got a chance to look at those demos you sent me. They sound really great, man. I decided to add some violin to them. What do you think? And so I'm like, oh, man, God, just you are so good and so late because this
Yeah, the
album
record's out.
record's out, dude. And I wish I had it because it sounds so good what you added to these songs. I would have, adapted them if I had got them sooner. And so I'm just sitting on these songs, right? And I'm like, how do I I want people to hear this. I want people to hear this. And so I was like, well, if I can get enough stuff together, why don't I re-release this album? And basically it is like each song is a demo track of a song on the Great Pause. So lyrics are a little different, the mood and tone's a little different and stuff. And then plus what Jared did on violin just like added this whole other level of just like sophistication to them. And so that, and then you had sent me some remix songs. So you did one of Settled and you did one of Great Pause itself. So I was like, there's these things that are bubbling around with this. I want to put this out. I want to do this. So me and Carissa just like we're talking about it, and we're like, well, why don't we do a reworkings album, and it could be something that kind of tie things in between, when I put something out again after that. So we took like the artwork and we inverted it, and then also combined in between when the album came out, we did a whole music video that I'm like, oh, I just love. So it's like and I want to use all the art for the music video that we did. So it was just a good way to like kind of show that like there's still life in this. We're still working on things, and I'm still, working on songs and stuff. So, and kind of what you're saying with it being so lush, I was like, we got to call it something flower related, like I didn't know flowers was such a theming when I was writing it, but as it came together, I was like, wow, this really is a flower theme. I really love that, in my head. So
yeah, because from what you showed me, it sounds like a luxury version of the EP, basically,
Oh, yeah. Well, again, demos, I wasn't thinking they'd ever be heard. It's what Jared did on top of those demos that just adds this whole other layer. So I'm like equally of a fan of it as like everyone else, because I'm just like, I can't believe what he did. It's so gorgeous,
Oh yeah, and especially like I know people like look down on like like instrumentation and actually and like they call it like overproduced. Like I don't know if you remember when Florence and Machine did their second record and people said it was overproduced and and I feel like this is done in a way that is like enhances the original material. Not to mention a demo material. Like and like as far as my remixes go, like I honestly don't remember how those things went. Like it's like if I give somebody assets and when I do that, it's because I like the original material. I make sure that I have no access to that asset anymore if I got it the way I want it. You know what I mean?
Keep it pure. Yeah.
Yeah, it disappears, and you have the only copy of this now. You have the best version of this that could happen.
Well, I knew like one of the things I love about artists is when you can just they're playable, they're listenable. You can shuffle them, especially since I'm in school right now and I do a lot of studying, and so I need an hour and a half of solid content. I wanted to do an instrumental version of Great Pause. I love instrumental versions of things. I love instrumental versions just as much as I love some. It's very rare you'll get this, but sometimes people will do an isolated vocal mix where it's no instruments and it's just the vocals. And that's beautiful to hear all the harmonies and stuff, a cappella, so with that being said, I love your remixes because I feel like it just adds to the kind of the what's the word where it's like the score. If it's like a score for a movie, you can just put the give and take on excuse me on and just let it flow for like at least 45 minutes now, and you're fine. That's Carissa. You can say hi.
Hello.
Hi. I'll take this too.
Beautiful artwork, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Say it again.
Beautiful artwork, by the way.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah,
thank you.
Because it is all the art for.
I like to fart around with it, so it's so fun. Thank you.
Oh no, I love you, baby.
Oh,
That's
no,
great.
you guys are a good creative force. You know.
I mean, it was an expert timing. Like everyone who is in a relationship with the musician, I highly recommend that you don't do it alone, that you get as much help as possible. It just adds to what you're doing, and especially to bring your partner on board at whatever level they want to and are comfortable with. Like if you guys don't think Carissa is going to be on stage with me, like, you got hands, okay, she can play, like she's gonna be on there, like I love it.
Yeah, I'm usually a solitary creator, so
Well,
it's always been
to
like
each their
that.
own, each their own, respect, yeah.
You know, so but yeah, I've always been pretty much solitary and like learn at my own pace. You
Sure,
know, because
sure.
I don't know. I feel like music for me is emotionally functional as opposed to monetarily functional for me. You
Sure,
know,
sure.
you
And
know.
there's a level of I keep using the word purity, but when it's, I totally get, that comes with you existing in your own space, your self-created space, so totally get that.
Yeah, but yeah, like especially with like this week, there's like been so much controversy and like proclamations and DIY Twitter in between, like people bringing back a hospital bracelet into the conversation to
Saw that.
yeah. It, I never thought I would say that name again, but here we are. And I think Straight Edge Day was earlier this week as well, and
Okay, yeah.
and I don't know, the performativeness is not something I always gravitated to because like music has always been like therapy for me, and
Oh,
I think the Great Pause is definitely that definitely like a good exercise in that for me. You know what I mean?
thank you.
Especially as the year went on, and like now just stop and think for a second. Like like you just really want like to tell people that a lot.
it is so interesting and so hard to, you're right, with playing with and feeling authentic, right? And how authenticity has become a commodity in and of itself, that people can manufacture. Like, how do you manufacture authenticity? Well, they found ways to do that, like, you kind of mentioned hospital bracelet and stuff. I mean, that's everyone's big gripe with them as a force is you presented yourself as one way and it turns out it was another way. And I think transparency is such a big part, just being real. Even if you want to invest in the production levels and of that is available through artistic resources. I'm one day I want to do that for myself. I want to have a slick, video and appearance and stuff. But even when that happens, I feel like, people should say, this is what it took, this is what I did, and be upfront about it. And I feel like that was kind of their big mistake was, or I don't think it was necessarily wholly intentional, but if you can't present yourself as a solo artist but have a front of a band,
Yeah.
um
Yeah, I do remember like the Instagram videos or just Eric and stuff. And my problem with the whole hospital bracelet thing is that I'm pretty sure people commenting on it have more in common with them than they would like to admit, you know? And it's just
so there was this local band from Orlando. I won't mention their name, but I was in this like weird space where I'm just like, man, how did you guys get so big? And just had all these comments of people being like, they just worked really hard. They just really put themselves out there. And and then I found out they had spent 20, like 10 between 10 and $20,000, on their band to get to there. And that's what it kind of told me, was like, everybody commenting is someone who is in that range should just be dropping thousands and thousands of dollars on their music like that, you know? And so to them, they don't think it's a big deal, but it's like y'all got more, like you said, they got more in common than you think when you know you're kind of talking about these things. And
Oh yeah, especially if, making music for a while, you kind of get the sense of like, oh, okay, this was paid for. This was
I mean,
manufactured. Because
listen,
this doesn't really sound too new, too groundbreaking. Like no writer is like, oh, I gotta write about this because this music is just so good. Like, no, they got promoted for it.
I mean, it's gosh, I guess one of the things that I do need to be present about is, it's like,
And all of us want to be in that position, right? Like, I feel like,
oh, yes,
I'm not trying to disparage anybody,
no,
but like,
no,
but
no,
like, but yeah, like all of us would love to be in that
we love
position to
seeing,
to
yeah,
pay like the best publicist and the best
yeah,
promoter,
and they
like,
can't have the
yeah.
slick look. But I get that. I just feel like there's like, how do you quantify talent and stuff? And it's not quantifiable. And but you're right. Really, it is. It's just if you're able to get your music out to the most amount of ears, you have the most amount of chance of succeeding. And it really doesn't become about how good or talented it is. It's just it's a numbers game, and if the more people you can get in front of, the more people will probably like your music because people like music. It's like. So I'm trying to get away from the whole like, well, if this band got in front of everyone would like them more than this band. It's like, they'd probably like them the same.
Which is why I'm happy. Like, music for me functions more as a therapeutic element as opposed to, something that I have to do for me to eat. You know what I mean?
Yes, it's a compulsion inside yourself that if you could not record music, you would still write or play with music in some sort of way. I agree. That's same with my ethos is I always will be doing music no matter what. That's why I don't believe in that whole canceling thing with musicians. It's like, what do you mean? You just can't play shows? Okay. He can still write songs, like nothing stopping him from writing songs. So it's okay. Like you don't have to play in front of people to enjoy making music.
No, and like as if music is functional, like in a way that's not to like soothe your ego, or in a way that doesn't, or the way that you're not using it to do bad shit. Like but yeah, like music for me, I just keep on getting better at it, and and that's the most important thing for me is that I still enjoy what I do, and I enjoy it more than I did yesterday. And that's some days you're gonna have like ruts, but and that's what having different projects does for you. You can go in between different things, and like I believe you're currently in expert timing mode, right?
Yeah, well, my part is a little more on the quote unquote finished side. So since I play drums, though I try to do a balancing game between letting Jeff and Katrina really be the sole main songwriters of this band, and my job is to shepherd these songs through melody and rhythm to be the best that they can be. And so we're recording in town this time. Usually we've gone out of town and it's been like you have this weekend to get it done, so regardless of how you're feeling or how you're doing, you got to get it done. But this time we decided to record in town with someone that we know, and it's kind of opened it up this time, where the album isn't recorded in 3 days or a week. This album's being recorded over a month, 2 months. And we have time to listen back and reflect on things and, make subtle alterations while we're able to make them. But first thing I did was track all the main drums for it. And that's all finished. I can't go back and change those. They are what they are, but getting to hear them back, I am I'm very excited. Drumming and rhythm is something that I just feel is very important, and can really make or break a lot of albums sometimes. So I just put a lot of work this time into writing drums, not just playing them, but writing them. Like I can technically play almost anything with time. So if that's the case, what can I think of to write to play that will enhance these songs? That was kind of my mindset in doing drums on this album.
Yeah, and drums are a huge part of what I do. So I definitely like do like I have to make sure like things are like compressed in a certain way. Snare drums are like the most like meticulous part of what I do, making sure like snares are good to go.
Because the one you're gonna hear it's probably the sound you're gonna hear the most out of the kit.
Oh yeah, like the what you hear on the 2 is so important. You know what I mean? Like
sure.
And because I gotten into doing remixing old rap records from my childhood, like, and even like up to like Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B records this past summer, and so many things line up on the 2, like Notorious B.I.G. is gonna make a consonant sound at the 2. That way, I know how to line up my snare with the vocals. You know what I mean? And like
so interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. Like Fabulous is gonna say something really profound on the 2. Nate Dogg's gonna say something on the 2. Like the 2 is so important. That snare is so important. And
so I love that. What you're doing is song analysis, and I love song analysis so much.
The thing is, I'm not a theory guy though. I am not a theory guy whatsoever. I can't talk to you about the circle of fifths or nothing like that.
Well, no, we don't need to. and I hate that kind of, it sucks. There's like all that gatekeeping, and that's like the same way with like comics and literature, right? Where it's like, oh no, you're not a scholar if you're talking about, deep themes in comics. It has to be in some book some old white guy wrote, and it's like, nah, like, yeah, academia is not class based on who can study stuff. Like, I believe this is academic song analysis, strong structure analysis, even outside of knowing all your Phrygian and your Melidians and your Brigidians and whatever European scales these are all based in anyway. Like, God, can you imagine one day when we can hear and understand modes and music outside of a European melodic mindset, like some of those microtones and shit? Like, God.
Well, I mean, if Europe was in charge of all things music, we would still be listening to hymnals and shit, like,
Yeah, we know we the dark people of the world kind of took this turd and polished it into something pretty fucking great, didn't we?
Because the music, at least to me, because I remember I was watching like Real Time with Bill Maher, and I don't fuck with Bill Maher now, but he was talking shit about Mississippi, and I think it was like Cornel West. Like, it was like, no, you're bugging. Like, no, Mississippi's like made everything fun. You have everybody from like Muddy Waters to Howlin' Wolf, and everybody like the first like rock stars were all from Mississippi. The Delta blues to jazz to
Buddy Guy.
The birthplace of modern rock and roll is Mississippi, and that got me to think like music education, like the academia came after what was good. You know what I mean? Like, it worked backwards from it, and to give names to notes and stuff like that. And yeah, there's a jargon that I think that should be shared, especially on an engineering level, but because like, you need words for things like phasing and shit like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like academia came second after people discovered what was good. Like Bernie Worrell from like Parliament Funkadelic didn't go to music school. He went to Africa. You know what I mean?
Okay, right.
To learn
Yeah,
shit, you know,
right.
like so it's
I think it's funny, like, to see how many the reverence that grunge is getting these days, where it's like, oh yes, this Soundgarden song was so complex, and it's like, dude, when Soundgarden was a thing, y'all weren't saying that shit was complex. Y'all were complaining that music is in the pits and they don't write songs like they used to and stuff. But you're right, over time, things change, and now that's the new this or that. And it's interesting to think about. You're right, the way we just talked about Howlin' Wolf, how we talked about Buddy Guy and stuff, because those people were goddamn degenerates when they were popular,
Yeah,
like,
man, especially when Howlin' Wolf switched to electric, like
you know what I'm saying?
that
You know what I'm
was
saying?
that
These
was
guys,
looked down upon.
these guys were straight. They were like, like, oh yeah, Howlin' Wolf, he's a really great guy. He's also probably had to stab 6 people in his life,
Yeah.
like, these guys had to live, and you're right. Everyone, yeah, the people who you're rarely appreciated in your time if you're probably doing something worth doing sometimes, right?
Oh, can you imagine what these people had to go through to get venues? You know what I mean? Like, like seriously, like
Yeah, that's where that whole which I love,
BB
something.
King picked cotton in his lifetime.
Yeah,
like
right. Oh yeah, no, it's yeah, yes, exactly, and these people are still alive today. What I want to get on, which I would love to bring back in a way, is the healthy competition of guitar playing skill, because a lot of that came from, they were only going to let one person on stage, and you had to show yourself within the first however many seconds that you were the person that could really play your instrument, and like, I put a lot of work into trying to be as good on my instrument as people might say, like, overdo it. Like, yeah, that's me. I want to overdo it. I want to really be as complicated as possible, because one day I want to just be like, yeah, I'm really good. Let's spar. Let's have a musical sparring, in a healthy way. Like, there's so many guitar players in the scene that I look up to that I'm like, why am I only watching you? I want to play with you, like that kind of stuff. Like,
I remember like when you're getting into your own shit, right? Like when you're creating and stuff like that, like you really have to believe, no, I'm the shit, like no, listen, no, I'm that nigga. You need to,
this song is the
yeah.
song, you know what I'm saying?
You need to listen to what I'm doing here. Like you need to listen to how the snare is like just cracking your back right now. You know, like
right. Yes.
And we do need to pat ourselves on the back, and like your drumming is just that's one thing I remember about doing the remixes, is that your drumming is just phenomenal, and for me to actually put other drums over, like I'm like, oh man, this feels wrong.
Dude, no, like what you did was, the settled has this, like, it's like this reverse thing that's going, it's not in reverse, but it's like, that's what it has, this thing to it. And I just love the rhythmic play that it did with that. So it's like, da, na, 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 na. I just think it's really cool how it adds these extra. That's just the other thing I love about collaboration, is how someone can take something and do it in a different way, and you're like, oh, that is so cool, like, um, I've heard of, sometimes an artist will hear a cover of their song and be like, that's the version I want to play. Like,
yeah, when Prince did Best of You by the Foo Fighters at the Super Bowl, like the biggest arena a musician could have. And
yes.
And I remember like Dave Grohl saying something like, he literally just got on the biggest stage and did our song better than we did. And
I love it. I love that. I love musical community, man. It's so great. Like,
well, I think musicians talk to each other, not necessarily like, through conversation almost. Like if like with Grant, me, you were talking right now, and me are very well aware of the respect that we have for one another.
yeah.
But if I don't know somebody, I'm just gonna like sample the track. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like I'm gonna sample the track and send it to them, and like that's how I'm communicating with them. Is like, because I won't do it unless I like your shit either. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I see.
You know, so or at least I have some kind of reference for you at that time. There's been times where I've done stuff and I'm like, oh, I really do not like this person now that I've had this conversation. But
Oh yeah, right. But it's interesting because I did what your music did, you know, right? Really did something to me, you know. And especially imagine when you're remixing a song. I mean, how many times are you really listening to that one song to really get that? That's hours worth, you know.
oh god,
Like,
man, I did Big Timers Still Fly. Not because I mean my future brother-in-law was like, hey man, how about you do this? And I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And
okay.
I've listened to this like this almost 5-minute song by the Big Timers over and over and over again. And it was just like, man, I did not remember this song being so freaking long. Like, and the singing is just atrocious, and it's and it's so bad. Like, you know, but I did it, and it turned out all right, I think.
Yeah.
It's not as fun as say doing like an LL Cool J song or something like that.
When you like, yeah, I need love.
God, I should do I Need Love. I should. Oh man, that song is 80s out.
Oh man, right.
Like,
You go ahead, bro.
but also you're working on a country record as well, like full on
Yeah.
country record.
Yeah. So, whew, yeah, a lot. Yeah, it's like, you know, you're always kind of going in these motions. So it's like great pause, finishing, great things in Petals, great. What am I doing next? Like, yeah, expert timing. We're finishing the third LP. So next, okay. Yeah, so
you got like 3 years of projects that are just
on exactly. 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 Like, because by the time the country thing has been, so one of the things that I want to do is I want to be the Bruno Mars of the indie scene in the DIY scene, in the sense that I want to take a genre and play with it, you know, just maximize it to its things. Because or then you'll know a give and take record where I don't want to play with a genre and I really just want to do what I want to do, you know. So there's so much I want to do. So Great Pause came out and I put a demo on it called Snow Day, and on it I played slide guitar. I've always kind of loved slide guitar and wanted to do more of it, and someone mentioned that it like sounded like country music. And that just so I just kind of ran with that. Like, I'm like, you know, I think if you look on my Twitter and stuff, it says like Y'alternative, Twinkle Country. I'll reference country stuff. Like I just was like, I didn't really think of that as a thing, but I like it. I'll run with it. And so in tandem with that happening, my fiance Carissa is a huge country fan. And so over the course of 3-4 years now, I've had the opportunity to like subtly listen to a lot of country music that I wouldn't necessarily have had the exposure to or listened to. And so over the course of this last year, while I was kind of doing Great Pause and these other things, as I just started kind of collecting little country songs that I liked, you know, just like we'd have it on a road trip and be like, I like that one. Let me add it to this playlist. And I looked at the playlist and I was like, wow, there's like 30 to 60 songs on here. And so I just like listened to it a whole bunch over and over again, just got really familiar with a lot of the songs. And so one night I was like, what if I think of some country songs, you know, just kind of, you know, fucking around. And in that one night, I came up with like 8 different choruses to different songs. And each one I was like, I love that. I love this. I love that. I love this. I was like, I should flush these out and see what happens, you know? And so in the course of doing that, I'm now 8 or 9 songs into developing, and each one of them is a genre specific 90s pop country song. Like each one is inspired by, has some homage to, is, you know, and I've never done this before. So I'm like this is a real intentional project. I'm not just like I'll write other songs in between because I just love writing songs, but these songs that I'm writing, I want to be country songs. And through this process, I've gotten in contact with an old friend of mine, David Reimer, who plays lap steel. Of course, Jared, who did violins on this Petals release, added some really beautiful slant notes that just sound like I've been learning how to do what's called chicken picking, Travis style picking guitar. Watching videos about country scales and learning those. I've been learning guitar solos from popular country songs. Like I'm really going for it. Like
because country, like it lends itself to the simplicity of it. You know, either lends itself to either like really weird chord choices. You know, because usually it's like I think a 3-chord progression, if I'm not mistaken, and
yes.
And like or it leads itself to a really good lyrical display. You know what I mean?
It's
story.
Right. It's songwriting 101, right? It's the root, you know, of like, you know, these are country and blues and folk are all they are all within each other. And that forms the basis for rhythm and blues and pop music. So when you're right. Like what I've been trying to do was doing this allowed me to kind of let go of some of the constraints I put on myself as far as wanting to be a songwriter that doesn't stick to the 4-4-4 formula. But this country songs, I'm like, no, I want to stick to the formula. I want to analyze and understand what that formula is, and then can I retransmit that in my own ethos, essentially.
So from what I understand from what you told me, this is going to be more like a Garth Brooksy, like Leanne Rimes type of affair, as opposed to like a Merle Haggard, Chris Christopherson type of.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
okay.
This won't be necessarily like simple folk songs, because that's definitely in line with what I do already. Which I mean, they will be, because I'm approaching them at their core that way. But the instrumentation will be slides and harmonica and violin, like all the things that mandolin, banjo, the things that are required to make it country genre specific, you know. And you're right. I'm really, what I noticed when I finally dug into what I liked about country songs was it was 80s and 90s pop ballads. So yeah, exactly. Leanne Rimes, like, you know, I've been blue, you know, like, and you know, strawberry wine, you know.
Plus like that, like those records resonated with a lot of people. Like I remember like Leanne Rimes exploded, Reba McEntire exploded, you know. Even like the late 90s like resurgence of Shania Twain, you know, was,
yes.
You know, was probably the most pop country you can probably anybody could ever wish to be, you know.
Yes.
And also like the 90s were a time where I think where the misogyny in country pretty much like died down a little bit before it ramped back up in the 2000s. I don't know how it went backwards, but it did, you know.
Yeah, no, lyrically it is it's so interesting. If you can take apart the whole and look at the parts, a lot of it is, I don't like being ground down by the man. And I'm like, same here, right? Working class life is rough. So that's really resonates very well. A lot of times I love songs about simple happiness. They have a lot of songs where it's just ain't nothing on but the radio, you know.
Oh yeah, and Soak Up the Sun and shit. Like, yeah.
Yes, you know. Lyrically on this album, I have no clue yet what I'm gonna be doing. If I want to play into that or if I want to go completely opposite. I thought about going completely opposite and really trying to make these songs sound really poppy, but make the lyrics, you know, anti-pop. So a lot about capitalism and racism, and you know, so it'd be interesting to talk about racism in the context of a pop country song, you know. So I don't know.
Well, it's a complicated genre, you know.
Yes.
It's a genre with a complicated history, you know.
Yes.
Especially like
yes.
musically, you know. I think it's like a modified blues scale, if I'm not mistaken.
Essentially, exactly.
You know, and blues in and of itself is just such a wide ranging thing in and of itself, you know.
Well, and very and I get socially, you know, blues is tied to people of color, even though many people of many races have played the blues. And culturally, country is tied to Caucasian people, even though there are many people of color who play country music, you know.
Well, even though it's tied to Caucasians, I believe it's tied to like a lower income bracket Caucasians. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And it has gotten appropriated a lot, especially in the later years. Like I forgot what's that one song on TikTok? Was it fancy like who?
Okay, I think I know.
Yeah, it's not good, man.
I tell Carissa I feel bad is I'll have these conversations where I'm excited to discuss that I'm into country music, right? And they'll be, oh wow, you love country music. Do you know this? And they'll insert, you know, a modern country artist, and I'll go, no, I don't know who that is. Oh, well, check out this song, and they'll play it. And I'm always like, this is not really a country song. This is just a pop song that they say is
that has country tendency, that has like as a lap steel guitar or something like that.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Which by today's definition, who was it? Sheryl Crowe, who did All I Want to Do Is Have Some Fun. That would be a country song. That would be a full-on country song if released today. And in the 90s, that was an alternative rock song.
Yes, was very controversial about whether Sheryl Crowe was all the way country or not. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think she was welcome in, because it was like early into like Sheryl Crowe barely predated like, you know, the massive amount of women in country music.
Sure.
And I think that's part of the reason why they didn't submit it to like country formats and as a single. You know what I mean? Because
she's competing with the Dixie Chick. She's competing with Carrie Underwood, you know. Well, I think Carrie Underwood probably came later.
Well, no, she's like competing with like Alan Jackson and like Garth Brooks and
I see what
like,
you're saying.
Like massive like people who are selling out arenas, and like you can't risk being compared to that. You know what I mean?
Sure.
You can't. Yeah, it has to be on its own merits. And I remember that song. I actually like that song a lot. You know, like a lot.
Right? All I wanna do is have some. I love that. I don't know. I'm assuming that she does all that, that talking thing. Right?
Yeah, it's dope, right?
Right? Yeah. You know? Yeah, absolutely. That
was a good point in time in the 90s where women in rock were like becoming just in general, like I think elite. No, Alanis Morissette had like a number one record with Jagged Little Pill for like 12 months, but those 12 months were separated between 2 years of actually like working that record.
She had like 7 singles off that album.
Yeah.
Like half the album at least is singles for Jagged Little Pill. Yeah. I'm like, what did I want to say? All right, I lost my point. Damn it. But yeah, this I've been really excited about this as a songwriting exercise. And what I'm hoping it does is it's another nudge in this direction where one day when I do form a full band I'm a solo artist with the full band, is I really want to go in the more loose musical route where I'm not just playing songs, we're jamming, we're flowing within stuff, because I like that genre and that live vibe genre wise, you know.
Oh yeah, I mean, at least to a certain freedom that like when you see like Dave Matthews Band, like you're seeing somebody who's not really constrained creatively.
Yes, exactly. I'm not like, I have 12 songs in 30 minutes and I got to get through them. It's like we might play 4. You know,
yeah, we might play 4 songs, and they might be 45 minutes long each. You know,
yeah,
it could happen that way, and you're gonna like it.
We're gonna put on a show. No show is the same. It's just a live thing. That's that exact. My biggest joke is after I do the country album, I'm gonna go adult contemporary, just full, you know, AC.
Hey man, I got some adult contempo music.
You know what I'm saying? Just sound like Rum Republic or something. You know, just I'm gonna sound like new Maroon 5. Gross. Never mind. I'm not.
I'm gonna sound like what was it, Kenny G. And do that smooth.
Yeah, I want to make music that you take your mom to sit at. You know.
Yeah, I'm gonna make an album of doctor's office anthems.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Just all right, guys. We're gonna give a long space for this saxophone solo. Let's go.
Hope you like 80 bars of sax, because that's what you're gonna get.
That's what you're gonna get, man. I met this sax player. She's great. I just let her go, you know.
And once we get done with the 80 bars of alto, man, wait until you hear this 40 bars of tenor.
Stack them. You know, I'm just gonna keep re-releasing Great Pause, just as I just keep meeting more people. Just oh, you liked it this way. Just when you hear the African tribal version of Great Pause.
Wait till you hear a version where we convert everything to 6/4. You know.
Oh God, right? Oh man. I love digging into genres of music and seeing what makes them tick and playing around with that and absorbing things into your own and stuff. And I just feel so, like, you can see how jazz I am right now, like just so fortunate and lucky that it through like Knife Punch, through getting to talk to people like you, dude. I feel like a real artist. You know, like I'm creating things and I'm making things to show and to for people to experience, and you know, it's so great, you know.
Well, even now, like even this year, like I've had my first like truly creative like experience where I've actually got together with a singer, and we formed a band. We formed a band.
Writing songs.
And it's well, but I can't say that like me as me doing what I do, the creative direction is definitely on the other party in this sense. I just, you know, I'm given what they want, and I can give it to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but the creative direction and the mantra of the record is not mine. You know, it's something that I definitely get down with, you know, but it's their vision. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I can't take credit for that. But when you do have somebody taking that kind of heavy lifting, it's definitely liberating. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You know, and I kind of felt like, you know, for the first time, like I'm in a fucking band. Like, you know, this is what it feels like to be in a band. Like you have your role, and you have your role that's appreciated, and that's what happens, you know. Like somebody else takes the creative direction, and if you're able to provide that, you can, and there's a trust there too.
Yes, as you shepherd this song to be the best that it can be. Yeah, absolutely. Like,
you know, yeah, there's a trust there that I never felt before, you know, as a musician. And like, yeah, it just turned out really, really well. You know, I need to mix it down and master everything, and you know, and make sure that, you know, we get the treatment and the treatment of the record right. But and I probably won't be out till next year, but still, like, that's the first time I had that experience, and I'm about to turn 34 this week. You know, like,
really, what day?
The 21st.
Oh
of October.
Wow, yeah, man, 2 days.
Yeah, so, but yeah, I never had that experience before, and this is what's like when you have that kind of a, like, I guess, epiphany like that, you know, it definitely opens up more avenues for you, you know, creatively, and you want to chase it even more. And I can't wait to get back into that mode where I'm like, you know, I'm a band member, you know, as opposed to Leave Nelson Bean needs to create a concept, of a record, create a sonic home for the record, you know, and like it's definitely much more free than that.
I just
Like,
think creativity just saves like so much. It's like and I experience it from both sides as the generator of it, but also just someone who just like, you have an idea. I don't even need to do it on the music side. I'll do it on the promotion, the art. Just it's just so great to feel a part of something, and and then once you're a part of it, then to see it, like have you ever done a play? That's the feeling.
yeah, but those roles are defined by other parties.
Yes.
It's because I'm pretty sure you've had these experiences as well, where like you're collaborating or you want to collaborate and it just does not fucking work at all, and it goes south. Either you find out, oh, this person is like flaking, not on time, or or
It's
just
even
not.
worse once you've invested money into it.
Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It really is.
And you don't know, and it's not, and you can't blame the other person. You don't know until you start to work with them, and then yeah,
Like, oh, this is why you're not busy. Oh, okay. All right.
or I kind of learned like a little more about my own process, where it's like, okay, I don't work this way. This isn't how I vibe, and
as much as I would like to, sit in the studio and be with somebody, or sit and like, create with somebody there live, because we like email back and forth and stuff, because like, Texas and Ohio.
that's the same.
But
it's the same thing, because you could be getting back their feedback or your feedback, and you get cringy feedback. You're like, this isn't really, or it's really good when it's like, this is great feedback. I'm thinking the same thing. We're on the same level. This country album, I'm doing the same thing with two people who live in New York. So like we have a Dropbox, and as I add stuff to it, they're listening to it and saying, oh, it's good. You should do this. You should do that. You should do this. You should do that. And that's all in that attempt to make these songs the best they can be.
yeah, and like I was saying before, like there's no like objective way to make things sound a certain way. Like I forgot what I was talking. I feel like I was talking to Superdestroyer, in which like it can arrive at the same sound either through using sometimes a compressor or just EQing shit. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
You can arrive at the same thing two different ways, and like there's no one way to do it. And when you have a trust, like I'm assuming the gentleman in New York that you're communicating with, there's a trust there. Like there's a trust, like in a relationship, and like when you're making music with friends, in which that's what the CP is. It's a music that was like probably one of my best friends in DIY. It's you get really apprehensive about making music with friends because you've seen how that can go, and you see
Sure,
how
you don't
bad
wanna
it
lose
can go.
friendship. Yeah.
No, you don't. You don't, because it's that valuable to you.
Yeah.
And that's something that I harped on a lot, was like, like we don't have to do this project. Like we don't have to do this if it's gonna make shit weird, and
yes, at the end of the day, like, let's preserve our friendship over this having to happen. It can, I mean, it's interesting when I always thought about that, where it's like, imagine if you had to work at a job with your best friend, and then you discover y'all don't have the same kind of work habits and stuff, and that can be really rough. If there are some people where, like, I like you as a person, but I wouldn't want to be your employee, because
I don't want to be your employee. I don't want to be your roommate. I don't want to be.
It just wouldn't. So, and sometimes, especially if band, like person to person, y'all are dating each other. Like it just, you fight. Like me and Expert Timing, like we are brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers to each of us. We just, we depend on each other.
Well, especially if it's like tour time, you're in a van with somebody for like all day, you're trying to find a place to sleep at night or something. Like I imagine it can get pretty contentious, but like if you never had a problem with somebody, then somebody's lying to you. You know what I mean?
And I've been in so many bands where they didn't make it past that stage, for that reason. I had one guy, I remember, he was like, I don't know if I'm ever going to tour again, so I'm going to make the most of it. And his making the most of it was getting really drunk and body slamming cars and stuff in the parking lot, like trying to go to jail. Like, it's like, nah, bro, I don't want to tour with you.
Yeah, you're not going to tour again.
No.
Like, yeah.
No, yeah. Yeah, thankfully, like expert timing, we don't like to stay out super late and drink, any of us, because that would be really hard. And no, because there are a lot of bands like that, and that's totally like valid, like we love to be out and party and be out late and live that, but all 3, now 4 of us are kind of on the same trip where it's like, no, we like to go to bed early, and we'll meet you for breakfast.
Yeah. I need to get up and do some stretches, make sure that I get enough sleep for the show, like that. I think the partying, at least maybe it's because I'm getting older and my periphery is not necessarily on younger bands anymore, but maybe partying is still a huge part of the touring life. But yeah, I see it be less and less and less. If I stick around after a show, and get like a backstage pass or some shit, like dudes are just like smoking a blunt and reading a book, or some shit,
Yeah, exactly.
They're not going, where the bitch is at or something like that,
or like you're back there like drinking out of a shoe and shit, like
like that whole. I think people are more health conscious now than they were like when I was a teenager.
100%.
Yeah,
100%. We have all kinds of things now for fest where we're like, why are you even promoting drinking in the first place? Drinking or smoking. It is interesting. Yeah, we don't. It's not really as much. I don't see as many people being smokers as far as like smoking cigarettes and stuff.
Yeah. It's not. I mean, I think there's two things at play here. Is that like being a stoner is not necessarily a personality trait anymore.
Yeah, right.
Like having tattoos was a personality trait. Back when we were kids, like, no, stay away from that guy. Like, why?
Yeah. You smoke pot, that's gonna become your entire life.
Yeah. And I've been friends with those people, like who like always had like a oversized beanie on with a plaid shirt or something.
Yes. And we're always talking about ways to smoke weed.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I feel like there's only one way, but okay, sure.
Yeah. Okay, man. Yeah, that's cool.
Yes, you can smoke weed through a carrot.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm like 25 and I don't feel like putting holes in a Mountain Dew can anymore. So
you get it. Exactly.
Exactly,
man. Like, it's okay. Let's just not smoke right now.
yeah. Let's not hollow out an apple again.
It's okay. We'll go to a gas station and buy a bowl. You just wait. It's okay.
Yeah, we can be adults about this,
Oh, I don't like one of my big things is like I don't see any point in being drunk or high and playing music, because like I'm just a waste of it. If I'm playing drums, I'm not gonna be stoned anymore. Okay, like I'm playing drums. Like I don't.
I'm at work.
Yeah. It's like, I don't want to struggle against being drunk and having the attention required to play the drums, or guitar and sing, like it requires a lot of mental focus.
Yeah. I'm not trying to have like a 5-drum fill, at the end of the bar.
Yeah, I don't want to fight with myself. Exactly. Weird thing I'm that way about eating, because I don't want to have a full or upset stomach while I'm on stage either. You know, I want to just be as neutral as possible and just, you know, I can just do the show.
I don't know if I'm creating up here in this here room. I want to be sated. You know, I definitely want to.
Yes.
If I'm creating while I'm hungry, I just get pissed off when something doesn't work.
Yes.
But yeah, I want to
I
be
don't think I'll
sated.
ever record vocals sober. It's just so everyone knows. I gotta get in the mood. You know.
That was one thing. That was cool about like remixing your tracks was like your vocals were just like so they were so fun to work with.
Oh.
You know, like they're really fun to work with and like identify like different pieces and how to like chop the song up and like have the vocals like be cool sounding chopped up, you know, and pitched down and everything. It was so.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So,
I do. Yeah, I do remember you did that. I love that. It's so interesting. I guess just because of my influence, I've always sung in my like higher register, and I'm actually gonna try and sing in my lower register for this country album. You know, kind of do some of those things. You know, like that. You know, like I've never done that before, so I'll be interested to see how that comes around.
Yeah, I mean that'll be. I'm super looking forward to that, even though it may be a while. I'm super looking forward.
Oh well, don't worry. You'll be hearing it, you know, before, you know, because you know if I put it out and you're like, meh, I'll be like, okay, so I gotta go back to the drawing board, you know, like.
All right, man, pop your own car. Like, what the fuck does this guy think? Who the hell is he?
And be real with me, you know.
Who the hell am I? You know, to judge anybody else's work.
I want the Leave Nelson standard. You know what I'm saying? Like that. I've gotten the first accolade and I loved it. I'm never gonna let it go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because what Nelson's a fan of is not necessarily like, you know, what people like. Like my favorite singer is probably is Bjork. Bar none. You know?
Okay, yeah, maybe I'll do both standards. Like, if you absolutely hate it, then I'll be like, okay, well then I might be onto something.
Yeah. We need a give and take industrial record. That's what we need.
Oh, all right. I mean, listen, if I get signed and they give me money enough to do it, you'll get one eventually. I'd love to tackle. I want to do reggae. I want to tackle everything. You know what I'm saying? Like I just don't think I, you know, knock on wood, I just don't feel like I could ever run out of songs to write.
Yeah.
Really don't.
And I've taken to sampling like church stuff now, and it's actually been very like. What did I do? I did a fabulous remix of "You Can't Deny It," and that sampled like a guitar lick from like a church service. Or something like this. Like, yeah.
Happening right now on this podcast, that is something I'm missing on my country thing, and there's gonna be a country gospel thing on there. Cannot believe I hadn't.
Well, especially like those old like I've been doing a lot of like those those old Baptists, like, you know, because those things are musically very, very fucking astute.
Yes.
You know? Like those the musicality of like, you know, an old black church is just so fucking. Like,
I mean,
especially
I just keep thinking of that. You know, like that. Just it's just beautiful.
Oh, that, and you have like, I mean, especially some of like the more like Kirk Franklin and Mary type of stuff, and you know, where you have like a drum fill that is literally like 4 bars long. Like,
yeah, right. Oh my god, right?
Yeah.
Gospel drums. Come on, man.
Yeah, I remember when what was it? Jay-Z did "Show Me What You Got" on Kingdom Come, and that was gospel drums all fucking day. Like,
yes, yeah. Yo, God, I would love to play drums on some shit like that. Would be fun. That would be fun.
It sounds very technical. It sounds very, and not to mention like those drums always sound fucking tight and good and
tight.
Yeah, like it's just so like you like, speaking of expert timing, like seriously, like
Mm-hmm.
but yeah,
I
like
I remember when I was learning to play bass, my dad like said one of the standards you got to be able to do the a bum 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 bum. That's like it's like that classic gospel run, you know, and it's just so fast and jazzy, and you really got to be like right on time to hit that right, you know, between the two. Like it's great.
one thing I started doing recently was making my bass like making my bass hits just double the kicks. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
if a kick's gonna be on the one and the two, the bass is gonna hit at the one two. You know what I
Gonna
mean?
melody it then.
Like yeah, like if the bass is hitting at eighth notes, my kicks are gonna hit at quarter notes. You know what I mean? And I think that that allows for like a
There,
rolling train type of feel.
there's this concept that I was working at this studio called Earth Sound, and the guy producing Lee was said, yeah, I don't like bass players who play bass like a guitar. And I didn't quite understand what he meant, but what I think it is now is you can't play bass by just going da 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 da. Playing bass is da 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 ba bam bam bum ba bam 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 bam. You know, it's rhythm and melody at the same time. That's what playing bass is chopping that up, you
It's
know.
funky, man. That's where the funk comes in funk music. Like you gotta really like because it's just as percussive as it is like melodic,
Yes.
you
Yes,
know. And
exactly.
like it's just you gotta make it funky.
Yes.
And I know when people like hate it when you use like terms like that not necessarily have like a defined thing, but no,
Make it funky.
like you know when somebody's talking about when they say you just got to make it funky. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
and
Yep. You gotta make a move. You're making them do a lot of this. You know, you gotta make them do a little more of
yeah,
that. You know.
yeah, you know, you can't be like church hymnal type of shit that can be very astute, like technical wise, but like
Yeah.
you gotta elicit some movement, you know,
I
and
mean, I think that's so interesting. Like, I feel like Petals goes on that like you're just supposed to kind of just take it in hymnal side. But honestly, what Jared is doing on violin with the way he's moving and stuff in there really adds this rhythmic element to it that just I feel like that's another reason why I was just so like convicted that this had to be put out, because I was like, man, this guy's he didn't have to do all this. You know, he could have just done some, you know, just some slow, but he didn't do that. He was did some trills and all that kind of stuff. Like it
like
just
how much did you have to convince Knife Punch to re-release it?
yeah, none. I just had to just put it up on SoundCloud, you know, and just and honestly I knew I was like this all I gotta do is just play this for people and they'll be like, oh my God, yeah, we gotta do this. And speaking of this, so October 29th, it will be out on Spotify. You'll be able to see Great Pause. You'll be able to see Petals. Your tracks also will be a part of that. And then later, we're gonna print a CD, like a hard copy CD, and it'll be double sided. So the front side
Oh,
is the
nice.
black Great Pause, other side is the white Petals version. So you'll get both on one.
I am all for that. I am all for CD printing. I may do a re-release of my numbered series of records, you know, the 1.0,
Please,
2.0, 3.0.
please. That honestly, that's I'd love to collect things that way too. Especially when someone can do like a volumes series where they put, you know, a lot on two couple CDs. You know, so I just think that's, you know, that's what makes them great and fun is. You know, you can only put so much on a vinyl. You can only put so much on tape, but CDs you can put a lot, you
Yeah.
know, on there.
I remember old Busta Rhymes albums would like basically exhaust the CD length of a
Right, right. That
yeah.
you got the sessions version of that song. You know, he got this. It's just him saying the first line of the lyrics to one. You know, and like yeah, it's great.
I don't know if you remember Flaming Lips when he did Zyreeka.
No,
Uh but yeah, it was and this is like way off topic, but yeah, it was a CD that they made with the same budget as the Soft Bulletin, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
And basically, the CD it came in 4 discs, and there are different tracks on each disc, like the same songs were on all discs, but like one disc would have like piano or some shit and drums, and the other disc would have like bass and vocals, and another one would have like lead guitars and shit like that. Like you had to play like these 4 discs like at the same time, and like it's if it didn't come out on CD, you wouldn't have had that experience, you know?
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
But anyway, but yeah, congratulations on the re-release.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much, dude.
Looking forward to Expert Timing. Looking forward to this country album when it eventually comes out.
Oh, bro, yeah. As I told you before, I was just really excited. Like, I just love talking with you, and I just feel like when I got new stuff coming up, I just want to be like, hey, can we do a combo on here?
Yeah.
You know, like this is.
I remember the first time, like, yeah, let's talk. And you're like, for real? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
I love it. This is like you're like my Jimmy Fallon.
I mean, I really respect you, and I really respect your work, and you know, we just generally get along very well. And
likewise, I definitely can't. Like, I'll definitely be hitting you up when Expert Timing goes on tour this summer, when we're kind of going up your way and stuff. So hopefully we can hang out.
I'm all for it. I'll call off whatever I need to do. I'm all for it.
You got it, and you got a ticket on me. You know, like you just let me know. I'll be outside, and I'll be like, oh, he's in the band. Just let him in. You know, whatever I got to do. Yeah.
All right, man. But where can the people find you?
Oh yeah, so you can find me on Twitter at thegiveandbake. You can find me on Instagram at thegiveandtakeband, and you know, The Give and Take on Spotify. And then also just check out knifepunchrecords.com, and that has links to all my stuff and merch and stuff and t-shirts and all that. So
all right, man. Thanks a lot for talking to me.
Thank you so much, man. I had such a great time, dude.
All right.